Hello, and welcome back to Purchase Broadcast Studios. I'm your host, Anna Fufana. Over the past few months, the students, faculty, and administrators of Purchase College have been debating the pros and cons of building a set of berms on their college grounds. The goal of the project is to mitigate flooding by building berms that would restrict the flow of Blind Brook during a storm surge. The berm proposal was put forth by the town of Rye, also situated along Vine Brook, which experienced severe flooding during 2021 Hurricane Ida. Construction would take place along Vine Brook, which runs through a stretch of woods alongside the east side of campus. The proposal has come under sharp criticism from members of the Purchase College community who worry that these woods, which are home to a diversity of plants and animals, will be permanently altered or destroyed by the construction of the berms. Students and faculty also fear that the natural parts of campus are slowly but surely being lost to develop. These fears are exacerbated in the wake of the Broadview Senior Living Project, which destroyed over 40 acres of the college's wooded areas.
Look, over time, and I've been here long enough to see the campus change significantly with the construction of alumni, for example, the construction of Broadview. And gradually we're losing important natural pieces of this campus that serve important functions, ecological functions for people in the surrounding area.
Interestingly, a report issued by the college
Look,
about
over
the
time,
environmental
and I've been
Interestingly, a report issued by the college about the environmental impact of the Broadview Senior Living Project identified the stretch of woods where the berm project is being proposed as a section of campus that should remain untouched and undeveloped under a policy known as Forever Wild. Student activists have played a key role in educating their peers and bringing attention to the project proposal. As a student-organized meeting on November 3rd, documents from the College Sustainability Advisory and Outreach Committee, or SAOC, were shared along with the Flood Resiliency Report commissioned by Rybrook. In the following days, a Change.org petition against the berms began circulating among students and has now gathered 490 signatures. More recently, there was a town hall event which featured a presentation on the current state of the project from Environmental Studies Professor Allison Jackson and an opportunity for the students to voice their concerns about the project. The town hall was attended by high-level college administrators, including President Millie Pena and Director of Facilities Mike Lopez. Pena was faced with tough questions from a clearly agitated student body over issues ranging from the college commitments to sustainability to its understanding of students' enjoyment of the natural sources on campus. Now, we are joined by Dr. Ryan Taylor, Professor of Environmental Studies and Department Chair, to share his thoughts and involvement with the Blind Brook Berm Project. So I want to thank you so much first for taking time out of your day for coming. I know that you're really busy. So starting off, I just want to ask, when did you start teaching at Purchase College?
I came to Purchase in the fall of 2008.
Mm-hmm. All right. As Department Chair and Purchase Professor, what is your experience like teaching here at Purchase?
Oh, I love teaching here at Purchase. I think a lot of faculty share the enthusiasm that I have for working with the students here at Purchase and the perspective that they bring to the classroom.
So what kind of conversations took place amongst your colleagues in regards to the Blind Brook Berms project?
Oh, geez. There's been a lot of conversations about the berm proposal amongst my colleagues, and I don't know, do you mean just the faculty or the faculty within the Environmental Studies Department specifically?
Yeah, definitely within the Environmental Studies Department.
Sure, yeah. When we found out about this particular version of the project, we were definitely very concerned, for sure. The project, as it's proposed, would impact a very significant resource on our campus.
Which type of subjects do you teach within the Environmental Department?
I teach a diversity of classes within the Environmental Studies Department. I joke that I'm a little bit of a utility player, but Environmental Studies is a interdisciplinary program of study. So I handle all of the environmental policy stuff for our department. So environmental regulations, environmental impact statement assessment, environmental policy itself. But I also do all of our geography, so physical geography, geographic information systems where we do mapping and a lot of that stuff. And then I teach our natural resources classes and our classes on watershed science and geology. So I run a little lab in the basement of the Nat Sci, our watershed science lab, where I bring students in who are doing their senior projects with me, studying watershed processes. And so my focus is really in a lot of the dimensions very relative to this project. In fact, we used the impact statement for Broadview last spring in the class. It was sort of a touchstone impact statement that we read for our impact assessment class.
Interesting. Can you provide us with a quick overview of the Blind Brook watershed and some of the flooding challenges neighboring towns have experienced?
Sure. So Blind Brook, broadly speaking, is not a large stream. It's a fairly small stream, and its watershed is very tightly defined. And by watershed, what we mean is any part of any land by which, when it rains and it lands on that land, it will drain to a particular water body, right? So folks sometimes get a little confused when you use the term watershed, and they think you might mean the water body itself, right? But we mean the land on which you're standing. So you're always in a watershed. Doesn't matter where you are, you're in a watershed. And so our campus happens to be in the Blind Brook watershed. And it's a small stream. It actually has a tributary on the east side of our campus as well as the west side of our campus. And it kind of goes along both sides of our campus. And those two tributaries connect just below the hutch. And then they go on downstream. They flow through the towns of Rye Brook and Harrison. And ultimately into the city of Rye, where it enters into Milton Harbor. And it's a fairly flashy stream, meaning that when it does rain, the water levels in the stream can go up fairly quickly. And the result of that has been that the downstream neighbors to our campus wind up experiencing flooding in areas that are low-lying, places that would naturally be the stream's floodplain.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for that. I think that offers a lot of insight in terms of like what the project is and like kind of what it entails. With that being said, there was an SAOC Sustainability Advisory and Outreach Committee meeting on the 30th of November, in which student and faculty member concerns were brought to the attention of members of the Rye Brook community. So if you do have a comment, could you comment on the response by the Rye Brook stakeholders?
Oh, well, the Sustainability Committee meeting.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the public meeting that we had on campus. That was a very congenial meeting. We had, it was held on Zoom because all Sustainability Committee meetings are on Zoom right now. I'm not on the Sustainability Committee, so I was there as a guest, just like the folks from Rye and Rye Brook. The folks who were there in attendance from those communities were the administrators, which are sort of like the professional mayors, and then the elected mayors, right? So the administrators are in charge of the day-to-day operations of the communities and their facilities, and then the mayors themselves. So we had 4 folks, 2 elected officials and 2 professional officials there. They were, like I said, they came to the meeting very interested in making sure their position was well articulated, and they came, I believe it was the mayor of the city of Rye specifically said that they were looking forward to finding a way through that meeting to have their berm project supported.
All right, thank you. In what ways do you think Purchase can do a better job at keeping the wildlife and environment safe in this area?
Well, one is protection, right? If you don't have a home, right, like you wind up places you're not supposed to be. And so, having 100 acres on our campus, which is what we're talking about here, 100-acre contiguous floodplain forest, that's what we got. To have that property protected and so that it can be set aside as a place that does not receive development provides a place for wildlife to be. And most wildlife would like very much to have as little interaction with people as possible. And so they like to be secretive, they like to be on their own. And so we can do a lot to keep them out of harm's way by providing a place for them.
Yeah, I definitely think that adds like a great point to what you to this whole entire project, because I know that since we live in Purchase, we're considered a city within the country, and I
That's
know
right.
that there's hundreds of acres of land here, and there's coyotes, deers, things of that such and stuff. So I think getting rid of that home, like you mentioned, and stuff like that, offers a new problem, such as like having those animals migrate to the main plaza, and now that offers a new problem here on campus. So I definitely think that you made a really excellent point in terms of like preserving that their home, because that's their right as well. My last question for you is actually I have two last questions.
Sure.
So the first one is, how do you feel about the rise of student activism when it comes to environmental issues here at Purchase?
Well, I got to. I'm very proud of our students. I'm amazingly proud of our students. The way they organized around this issue. It didn't surprise me, right? Like I would say, I'm proud, but not surprised by them. Environmental sustainability is very much core to the fabric of what it means to be at Purchase. It's why environmental sustainability is a part of our strategic plan as an institution. It's why the college has adopted the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, right? It's very much important to our students. And so for them to see a project like this and recognize that it is not sustainable, right? That it is a threat to sustainability and to our identity and our values, our core values as a community. I think it was wonderful to see our community of students recognize that and then say, this is something we care about. Like this is a part of who we are that we value. And to see them come together, right? There's so many things that could divide us. And this was something that I saw students come together and build community around. Build community around something we love, right? And for me, I think like that's gold. To say we all value this one thing. And we had students come to the forum, the public meeting that the Sustainability Committee hosted, that the students came from all walks on campus, right? They were students from the VA, there were students from performing arts, there were students from math, and students from the natural sciences. From all the different parts of campus all came and spoke to what the woods meant to them, and how much they valued protecting the environment and wanting to have a whole environment, a place to go into. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to see people come and say, this is what we care about. It was beautiful to see them organize in a very constructive way, right? There wasn't name calling, right? The conversation did not denigrate into that kind of thing that we see being modeled for us on, in the media all the time, right? Like our students said, how can we make sure our voice is heard? And then they got involved through the public process, right? Through the public policy process. And I was proud to see students say, okay, recognize, here's the individuals we want to talk to, the decision makers, both on our campus and off our campus, to say, here's our interest, and making sure their interest was heard. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and I definitely want to echo everything that you just said, because I think with the rise of activism, I know that Uri, who unfortunately wasn't supposed to be here today, I know that he started a petition that garnered 500 signatures, which is amazing. So to follow up on everything that you just said, I guess in the rise of the protests and the petitions of the blind Brook Berms, what conversations do you have now in class with your students, given everything that's been going on so far?
Well, students, this was, I think what you're getting at was it was a very dynamic situation, right? Like information was coming in, and the situation was changing in real time. So the conversations that we would have with students would change from just getting them up to speed so they knew, so we even knew what the proposal was, right? And to know where it was in the decision-making process, and then to know like what was expected of the college, right? This wasn't the college's proposal. The college never proposed to have these berms built here. The college also was never asked what it would like to do to help with stormwater management, right? Like nobody ever came to the college and said, we have a problem with flooding downstream. Do you have any ideas of some things you could do on the campus that might help with stormwater? That was never asked of the college. It was only asked, would you endorse these berms? Very specific choice, not what things might you like to do. So we as a college never got the opportunity to go through a full planning process to envision what we might be able to do and what we might be interested in pursuing. And so the conversation with students sort of ran the gamut, you know, because the students want to know, like, why would this decision come up? Why would we be faced with this choice? Who do we talk to? Like, students always want, who do we talk to? And then how do we talk to them? And for a lot of students, it's their first time to get involved in public policy. So a lot of the conversations were very logistical, saying, make sure you just speak to this person, and about tone, and about making sure that you're heard, and being respectful. But boy, I gotta tell you, the students, they understood a lot of that stuff already. Like, they understand treating others the way they want to be treated. And that gave me so much hope. So much hope to see that in students inherently saying, this is the way we want to interact. And so our conversations ranged in what we needed to talk about at that moment. It's not like we were directing the students, right? Like, this is something they were interested in and coming to us as experts, myself as an expert in public policy, and Dr. Jackson, an expert in wildlife, to say what are the concerns so that we know what we should think about this, how this correlates with our values in general.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think this goes into my last question, which I'll make it a two-parter, but with the future of the project still unknown, what would be your ideal outcomes for this project, and what do you hope to see within the environmental department, with the students, with the school? I know it's kind of a loaded question, but...
Sure. For me, ideal for me, right, is that we're able to take this moment and turn it into something, multiply it, right? That we were asked if we would, as a college, support a poorly conceived idea, a single project, and that is a 20th century solution, right? And so for me, for us to come out of this with a sense of community, to have students all work together and maybe make relationships with one another they didn't see before, for them to see the college support their values, right? To have the college come around behind them and say, we heard you, right? For students to be heard and to say, we heard you and we reinforce your values, that we will protect these woods, and we'll do better than that. We will pursue opportunities to do things on this campus we hadn't conceived of before. To say, this opens the door for more green roofs on campus. It opens the door for more bioswales on campus, for more reduction of impervious surface. That we could be a place where a few of these projects, which we've done already, could multiply. And that we could be an example for the rest of the Blind Brook community of how to regreen a watershed, how to make space for nature and have nature work for you, that SUNY Purchase, that Purchase, right, SUNY could bring this idea to the community. I think it's a lot more powerful, right, than just Purchase being free land, right? To say that we are bringing these ideas forward. To me, that's ideal. Ideal would be if we get a lot more green projects on campus as a result of this, students felt heard, and the college reinforced its values, and the folks downstream wound up receiving some more stormwater reduction because of this, right? Like, we do all these things that weren't on the table before, right? These things weren't on the table. Would love to see that happen.
Thank you so much. That was very, very powerful. So with that being said, that ends off our segment. Thanks for joining us here today. I've been your host, Anna Fafana, with special guest, Environmental Studies Chair, Dr. Ryan Taylor. Joining us next time here at Purchase Broadcast Studios. Thank you very much, everyone.